ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו. Many years ago, when I served as a rabbi in the city of New York, what is now the young Israel of Holliswood, I remember we went to see a play called South Pacific. It was a wonderful play, but I remember there was one song that impacted me very much. And I want to read to you a few of the lyrics of that song. It said like this: "You've got to be taught to hate and fear. You've got to be taught from year to year. It's got to be drummed in your dear little ear. You've got to be carefully taught." Obviously, what the song is trying to say, that we are not born with hate and fear. These are things that we learn. Or maybe not, I'm not too sure. Maybe fear is a natural reaction to danger. It may even be a healthy reaction. What is the consequence of fear? I try to look for whatever defenses I have. I try to protect myself because I see an enemy. I see somebody or something that can do me harm. That is fear. So if fear produces better defenses, it is a very healthy reaction when there is a danger in front of me. However, sometimes one forgets why one fears, and you start fearing fear itself. That is basically what anxiety is. I am afraid, but I really don't know what I'm afraid of. But I think that hate is something altogether different. Hate has to do with the object, maybe of fear or of something else, that I want to destroy, really. I think that that object or that person has no right to exist, and I want to erase him completely. And I'm afraid that hate is what is being taught to the young people in the Palestinian community. It's not fear of the Israelis, that they are more powerful, therefore I can arm myself, but it's really hate. I want to destroy them. How else can you explain that a young girl, a boy, is willing to stick a knife into anybody, whether it's an old man, a woman, another child? How do you explain these things? Even the Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon, felt it necessary to write in today's New York Times an essay trying to explain what he had said, because many had interpreted his words as saying, because the occupation leads to those acts of terror that we see today. He tries to explain that he is against terror, but yet the echo of his words are still there. So how are we ever going to solve the problem between Israelis and Palestinians? Is it a question of territory? Is it a question of square kilometers? I don't think so. It is a question of coming to the realization that two different peoples share contiguous pieces of land. We are neighbors, and we're not going to move out of there. Neither are the Palestinians going to move out. So we have to learn to live with each other. We have to respect each other. We may not necessarily like each other, but we have to acknowledge the existence, the right of existence of the other. However, if what you are teaching is hate, if what you are teaching is that the other one has no right whatsoever to exist even, how are you ever going to come to an understanding between the two people? And that is a long process, because you have to be taught to hate. And children are being taught to hate. Unless that stops, unless there is a different kind of attitude by those who govern these territories, not to teach hate, young children, I don't think that in our days we will ever see peace between Israel and the Palestinians. Of course, there are other problems in the Middle East that are much deeper, that have greater consequences, Shiites and Sunnis. There are all sorts of hegemonies that are trying to be imposed in that area that are much more serious problems. But from a Jewish point of view, of course, the Palestinian issue is very important, and it would be most felicitous to come to some kind of understanding. But I think that the first step has to be stop teaching hate. Start teaching rather, the right of the other people to exist. They're different. They're not the same as I, but they're the same rights as I have to live in this area of the world.